It's me. Remove that. Welcome aboard. Let's get the comments going. Going to bring out to the rock music. We'll let that one go. Well, here we go. So, second day of Hanukkah. I know most of you don't celebrate Hanukkah. It's fine. It's actually fine. The question is, what do we learn from this whole thing? What do we learn from all these holidays? What do we learn from all of this stuff? What do we learn from? Yeah, I saw your video there, my friend. you know, what do we learn from reading different books, be it the religious side of books or maybe some other books, those books about a business and things like that. So this morning on my trip over there, I grabbed a cup of coffee. This morning I went yet again to uh, to speak to the rabbi. There we go, found it. Gotta have your coffee every once in a while, right? It's been saying late night, early morning, beautiful thing. So we were talking today, mentioned about Hanukkah and stuff like that, second day, things like that. We gave us comments in the end. So yesterday we were talking about that first thing, about spending some time with the candle. Okay. Spending some time with yourself, spending some time will translate it back out into the business world, into what it is that we can do and make it um, actionable, we'll say, right? And that is, spending some time, 10, 15 minutes a day, be it with a business plan, be it with yourself, be it out hiking, be it meditating, be it doing some exercise, be it whatever it is, and just kind of like honing in on those things that are important to you, those things that you've accomplished, some of the things that you need to take care of, whatever it might be, that top of mind stuff, whatever it might be. Do that on a regular basis, and I think things become much clearer for you because you're spending more time thinking about it. Instead of just going reacting from one thing to another, to another, to another. It's like, when do you have time to think? Oh, none of those crazy tagline things that you see every once in a while. People ask you, how do you have time to think? How do you have time to relax? When do you have time for yourself? There's a message in there, my friend. So figure out those couple of minutes that you can dedicate to you. How's that for success? Dedicate some time to you. Figure that out. Make the time for it. Morning, afternoon, evening, whatever works for you. Maybe it's during lunch. Maybe it's just during lunch. You're working someplace, you get a lunch hour. That lunch hour, forget about sitting, in the break room or with everybody. Go for a walk. Well, when the weather's decent enough, at least, go for a walk, get outside, do that, find some time for yourself, and separate the day that way. But let's get on to today's topic. Second day of Hanukkah. We've lit the candles. We've done all the rest of that. But what was mentioned today was spending time to study. Of course, when we go with the religious thing, there's the religious books to study. Let that aside. That's not really what we're after over here. What we're after here, really, is the fact there's a lot of things that we participate in. There's a lot of things that we do. There's a lot of things that are said to us, but there's always something to learn from it. There's always some way to translate something back to you, to some actionable idea where it really makes you better, inherently better. Are you going to see it on a day-to-day basis? Probably not. Probably not. You ever try to make a drastic change? We'll go with the weight loss thing, right? Got to lose weight. Nah, 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 nah. What do you do? Go extreme. I'm not eating anything. I'm going to lose weight. That's not smart. That is definitely not smart. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start exercising. So where you go from no exercising to going out there and running 5 miles, 10 miles, half marathon. That's crazy. You wind up doing the first one, you're going to wind up starving yourself to death. That's not good. You have no energy. You do nothing. Not good. You just have to train your body to burn calories. You have to train yourself to eat the high protein stuff and low fat and all the rest of that stuff. Speak to a nutritionist there. Exercise, Well, you want to read Hillary Topper's book, to go from couch potato to endurance athlete, how to do it. But I can tell you, she didn't jump off the couch and say, "Hey, let's go run a." Well, she didn't jump off the couch and then do a triathlon. It doesn't work that way. There's a whole lot of steps that have to be taken. You may not run a triathlon, you may not have any work to compete in a triathlon, or you may not have any interest in doing that, but still the same thing. You've never walked any distance before. You're not going to go out there and do 5 miles. That's 2 hours of walking and the rest of that stuff. It's a little different. What you want to do, find a 1 mile route, half-mile route, depending upon what kind of level of fitness you're at. And walk in a circle. Where we went, and this actually worked out pretty well. We went down to Sunken Meadow Beach. For those on Long Island, Sunken Meadow Beach, you know where it is, up on the North Shore. And there's a walkway, a boardwalk. And what was good about that, for those that were just getting into the exercise thing, was the fact that it was about maybe it's a half-mile or three-quarter-mile boardwalk from one end to the other. There are benches along the way. There are bathrooms along the way. Plenty of places to rest up again. So if you have not really walked much before, and there was one person that was just trying to get started on the whole thing, the exercise, the weight loss, the whole deal. Her trip was from the car over to the boardwalk. She was very happy about that. She got over there, walked a little bit with us, was on the bench. She was with us. It's part of a team. And that was great. She was making those first steps to get going. And that, I think, is where the message really, truly was, this morning, about taking the first steps. Yesterday, let's think about it. Let's spend some time figuring out where we want to go. And then today, figuring out how to get there. How do you get there? Boy, is this going to be general, right? Because how are you going to get there? Where it's there? That's different for everybody, obviously. But the question is, how do you get there? Well, knowledge. And today was about studying, right? So it's about picking up a book. It's about listening to a book, maybe, which is just as good. But it's about learning from others. I think that's really the message here. It's about learning from others. It's not so much about teamwork at this point in time, because we still want to get some basic level of knowledge inside of us. So pick up a book. Spend some time reading. Spend some time studying something. Spend some time getting a better understanding of what it is that you're thinking about doing. And then going on to the next phase of it. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow morning or Thursday, we'll have a little bit more insight into that one. We're going to let it play itself out without jumping ahead of ourselves. And I honestly have no idea, because I never thought of this the holiday, Hanukkah in that vein. Definitely not at all. So it's been a little bit of an interesting trip, in that one. But books. So where are we getting the knowledge from? Where are we getting the knowledge from? Oh, it used to be, it used to be. I think it's a great thing to do, but let's go with the Automobile University, which was a term that somebody had used. Auto U, great stuff. What does that really mean? Well, it means going to in this case, when I was doing it, it meant going to the library. Going to the library, taking out a couple of CDs, books on tape, and it was CDs, wasn't 8-trap, like I said. I was at least in the CD land. But it was a matter of taking out a few CDs, books on tape, and listening to them. I had a commute at that point in time, which was, it was 45 minutes if I left really early. And it was an hour and a quarter if I didn't leave really early and got stuck in traffic. And if it was snow or anything like that, oh my gosh, it was a nightmare, is what it was. But was it dead time? Was it just like 2 hours of my day shot to smithereens because there was nothing going on? Same thing. I used to commute into the city, and I live out in Suffolk County. I used to commute into the city. It was 2 hours in, 2 hours in, and 2 hours back each and every day. 4 hours. That's 20 hours. Imagine that. That's 20 hours a day spent commuting. 20 hours a week spent commuting. That's a part-time job. Or it's an unbelievably unique opportunity to learn. And it's the same thing with the car. Honestly, with the car though, I had to stay awake. So that was good. It was something to listen to. On the train, if it was a boring book, boom, out cold. Because didn't have to pay attention to the road. But it was a great use of time. So getting those books on tape, the CDs, and sticking them into the computer. I had a laptop, or in the car, listen to them. So CDs are a great thing. Now, you don't have to go to the library anymore, right? You can just download anything, and you can download it to, one of your, iPod or something along those lines. So you have it with you at all the time. So you don't even need to commute anymore. Now you can incorporate it into the time you spend on the exercise bike, the time you spend walking, the time you spend at the gym. You can now be learning and using that time to multitask. You are multitasking and picking up knowledge. Great way to learn. Absolutely great way to learn. Could always, pick up a book and do that. That's another way of doing it. Interesting concept, right? When was the last time you held on to a book? Actually picked up a book. I do in the morning, I pick up a book. They don't have that. Hey, Karen, good afternoon to you. So, yeah, what about this book? Oh, might as well pick up my book. Can reach it. If I knew then what I knew now. What a crazy idea for a book. Doreen Guma came up with that idea years ago. Years ago. Tagline here is our quest for quality of life. So what she did, she asked a number of us to go write a chapter about what it was that basically it's if I knew then, what I knew now. In other words, if we took a look back in time when we were younger, and like, what would you have told yourself? Kind of interesting, I think. So, well, contributed a chapter. Did the same thing in another book about being a Toastmaster. Why Toastmasters? But pick up a book. Inside of this one, and there's like a dozen or so different stories in there about each of us talking to our younger selves. It's like, wow, I wish I paid attention to that. Now I would be something different. I don't think we'd be different people per se, at least in my case. I would still be me, but I would be focusing my effort, or I would have focused. Let's put it that way. So in my case, I would have focused my efforts differently over the years. Maybe that brings us back to candle number one, sitting down and thinking for a while. It did there, not by candle power. But it's like, okay, it's an interesting concept of a book. What would I write? What would I put down over that way? Same thing with Toastmasters. Why did I join Toastmasters in the first place? We're talking almost 2 decades ago. Joined that one. 2 decades ago. It's actually fascinating. It goes back that far. But it gives you a chance to think in the book. And that's just the self-inflection. Maybe you could write your own book. That would be an interesting one. But today was about reading a book, not writing a book. Reading a book. What could you pick up? What book could you pick up that would give you more knowledge about your goal? Maybe it's about being more efficient. A lot of books on that. Oh, there was tons of books. I used to, when I picked them up at the library, used to pick out 2 or 3 of those CDs, 2 or 3 of the books on disc. Actually, that's what it was called, books on disc. And I would listen to the first, no matter what it was. I would listen to disc number 1, without a doubt. And if I didn't find it interesting, or I found it unbelievably repetitive of other books, Then I would stick it back in the case, pull out the other one, and do that. I was going through a lot of books. It wasn't that I listened to a lot of them. Did listen to many, but I picked up something from each one, and then came to the realization a lot of that stuff is exactly the same. How do you achieve your goal? Oh, it's pretty easy. You got to write them down. Good idea. Okay. You write down your goal. You look at it your goal each and every day, and now it reminds you of what's going on. Okay. Then you draw a picture, or you go out and cut it out and make a vision board. Fantastic. Good ideas, without a doubt. But I'm thinking, how many people wrote a different book, coming to the same outcome with the same thing? It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. After a while, I stopped reading them. Listening to them, if you want to be exact, because it became repetitive. Here's when I thought, well, if I wanted to put something together and I keep listening to this stuff, I'm going to basically brainwash myself with other people's ideas. So I wanted to come up with something a little bit more unique, definitely more actionable and stuff like that. So that was my learning moment by studying these books. And it really had to do with efficiency. And again, as I mentioned, when I was doing that, I was always multitasking, and sometimes not by choice. Always multitasking, because I had something I was doing. I was in a managerial role, constantly interrupted, all the rest of that stuff, and I was never as organized as I should be. It really came to the realization that I just had to get more organized. And I was commuting, and I was like, okay, let's go try the books on discs, the Automobile University. I heard that from somebody. I forget exactly where, not my term, but heard from somebody someplace. And this morning, when I'm sitting here in the shul and he mentioned it, I'm thinking, you know what? That's actually true. We do need to spend some time sitting down and studying other people's stuff. Another great book. There's so many good books, that are out there for you to refer to. One of them is a buddy of mine. He and he's actually the one that kind of really made me think about this whole world of public speaking and how to make it different. It's also the same time frame, actually. This was years ago. Listen to those books in the office, multitasking, stuff like that. I go to one of these company events, the weekend away, where, oh yeah, it's all about you. It's all about feeding all kinds of information and stuff like that. And then Steve Rizzo was the keynote speaker on that thing. And you know what? I got the original sheet. I kept it. But Steve Rizzo gets up there and he talks about attitude. Oh yeah, you got to have a positive attitude. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what in the world is new about that? Got to look at things differently. There's humor in everything. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, something about that. I'd already joined Toastmasters. A friend of mine's a comic. Okay, there's funny things. There's, the things to make fun of, but I've listened to a few of them. At that point, the open mic nights, it's like, well, I don't know, humor and everything. It's like, it seems like you have some big tragedy to go through in order to find the humor in it. Like, I don't know about that. That's not, for many of us, at least, it's not everyday life. Most of us are not going through some big thing. The rest of it, many people are. Is it humor in that? Come on, man. There's no way. There's no way. He continued on with his story and his brother's story. His brother recently passed. So, Steve, if you wind up listening to this thing, man, I'm very, very sorry for your loss over there. Without you saying, it was a big impact on the whole thing. But his brother was going through a big problem. Pick up one of Steve's books. So go to his website, steverizzo.com. It's easy enough to find. And you'll pick up on the story. There's the rest of that stuff. It's a great website too. If you're thinking about designing a website as an aside, you want to become a professional speaker, great stuff. Got the resources in there to do anything similar, and go on that path over there. But Steve spoke about like a lot of everyday things. Was about finding the humor in it. Everyday things. And not only that, it was all kinds of actionable ideas he put into that speech. Oh, and I've read the books and stuff like that. I keep going back to that thing. I keep going back to that day because the other speaker that day told a great story. Great story. But didn't share those actionable ideas that went along with it. Now, did I study it? Let's just say that for me, that was a great learning moment. So maybe studying is not just from a book, just from reading a book, or just from listening to a book. Maybe studying comes from those things that we're doing on a regular basis. So my big takeaway on that is that there are two kinds of presentations that are out there. Maybe three. Let's go with three presentations that are out there. Three. One of them is learning. Somebody gets up there, they teach you, professor in front of the room, and they teach you something, and not looking for a reaction. They're just looking for you to suck up, be a sponge, taking all that information. Okay, that's all well and good. We need those things. Great. So that is a book, not a disc, not on cassettes, not written. That is a live person over there giving you information. Great stuff. And there's tons of places for you to go and get that. You don't have to go anyplace anymore. You go to YouTube. You could go pick up everything. And there's also a new program that's out there too. Great places to go. Let's go with the actionable ideas on that one. That is these it's like masters on tape or something like that. Masters presentation. You get Google that. Maybe I'll find it one of these days. But these are like high-end people teaching classes, and I'm sure it's not participatory or anything like that. But my gosh, great information. Another place to go to get information to learn different things. TED Talks or TEDx Talks, but TED Talks. They're all recorded. TED Talks. Those TED Talks are given by great, unbelievably brilliant people. You listen to a TED Talk, you're going to get information I shouldn't say you can't get anywhere else. That might be a bit of an overstatement on that one, but great information. Or you can go someplace live and listen to somebody teach you something. That's one way of doing it. That's a presentation. Here's another presentation for the fun of it. Let's go back to comedy. Go to a comedy club. Hey, man, that is great. That was funny. I laughed for my set. I laughed for the hour with the different comics coming out. Oh, my God, it was fun. Had a good meal. Maybe had a couple of cocktails, maybe not. You just enjoyed yourself. It's good. Good family, good friends, family you're with. It's fun stuff. That's a fun presentation. All well and good. All well and good. But it's that actionable presentation. That's the one that's meaningful. You're a business owner. You want to build your brand. You want to use your voice to build your brand. This is the category you want to go into. You don't want to just give a fun presentation. Okay, you're a fun guy, fun woman, fantastic. You want to go over there and give a factual one? Smart person. I don't know if I'd call him smart person. Smart person. Got a head on his shoulders. Really good. Really smart. I don't know if I could talk to him now. Smart person. But you give a presentation. You help other people study. But you give a presentation where you're throwing a little bit of humor into it. Yeah, there is humor in everything. You give a presentation where there's actionable ideas in it. Yeah, you can make suggestions as to what people do. You can't tell them, but you can make suggestions. You give suggestions to people of what they could do with this information and how they could go out there and do it for themselves, how they can go out there and learn, how they can go out there and explore, how they can go out there and get confidence, how they can go out there and whatever message you want to deliver. But you do that, you put a smile on their face along the way. Now you're giving information, helping them study. You're giving them actionable ideas, helping them improve themselves. If you brand people that want to build out your expertise, want people to remember you, here's the most amazing thing that happens is that they're going to remember you every time they do that thing. So that Steve Rizzo presentation and the other person that spoke, let me tell you something. Every time there's a challenging thing that comes up and there's a little funny out of it, freaking think of that guy. It's like, oh man, think of that guy. So I got his book down here. I got a couple of them actually. This happens to be one of them. Get your shift together. Pronunciation is very important. Get your shift together would be one of them. And you definitely want to go to Steve's website, on that one. Factual, fun, and actionable. That's what you want to be. Factual, fun, and actionable. So you want to know something? I'm glad I went to the shul this morning. I'm glad I was reminded about the second day of Hanukkah having more to do with studying than a candle burning. A candle burning is something factual, right? You go back, you can learn the history of the whole thing, but what's the actionable side of it? And the rabbi hit it right on the head. The actionable side of it is doing something with that 10 or 15 minutes that we spent staring at the candle, thinking about our things, and then learning more about those things and helping other people learn more about themselves and more about what we're doing and how to make it actionable and stuff like that. Picking up a book is an idea. You pick up Steve's book, you tell him I sent you. I don't get paid on it. Tell him I sent you anyhow. Watch a video. God, I got so many friends that do these podcasts, man. It's great stuff. Really great stuff. Tim Healy does a great job with the podcast, interviewing people too. So much to learn. So much to learn that. But besides him, Don Drake's got different interviews, from a friend standpoint. Darren, as well. The Business Power Hour with Noam Wasserman. But TEDx Talk, great place to go. YouTube videos, great place to go. Just say, hey, Google, or whatever, send me someplace. You go and learn stuff. Go to the library or download a book from the library, whatever you want to do. Great stuff. Incorporate it into your day, into your exercise, into your commute, maybe just into your downtime. You want to really be good? Come over here and help me get rid of my leaves. You can listen to whatever you want while you do that. Fine. I even pick up pizza for you. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. But make the time to study. Make the time to study. You'll learn more. You'll be stronger. You'll be more confident. You'll be more knowledgeable. And you're going to be a lot more effective when you go out there and you present your ideas to somebody else. Because I know that by the end of this holiday season, you will speak well. You will speak often. And you absolutely, positively will live inspired and bring a whole bunch of people along for the ride. And ain't that a beautiful thing?